Welcome to Unpacked, real conversations for diplomatic partners who are ready to unpack more than just boxes. This is the space for the brave questions, the messy middles, and the quiet decision to stop shrinking and start showing up fully. We talk identity, purpose, transitions, and what it really takes to feel at home in a life that's always moving. Because you've always been more than just the label, and this is where we say it out loud. Hi, I'm Emma, and I'm with my co-host, Anna.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Unpacked. I'm with my lovely co-host, Anna. Hello, Anna. How are you doing?
Hi, everyone.
And we are taking a bit of a detour, aren't we, Anna?
Yep.
An unexpected detour, and I'm sure it'll be unexpected for everybody. We had planned that today would be our second career email series that would have gone out today. But we've pushed that back because in light of what's happening in the Middle East at the moment, we thought it was really important to kind of give you an update on how Anna is. And Anna's, you might have seen on Anna's social media that she's been evacuated from Lebanon, and also maybe to kind of give some just advice or support if you are also in the Middle East and going through it all right now. So Anna, how are you doing first of all?
Thank you, Emma. I'm doing well. Actually, we are all safe. We've been now in Australia for actually exactly a week. Yeah, on
Wow.
the dot. We arrived last Friday at 12 at night. So yes, we kind of almost over the jet lag, and we found our bearings a little bit. Obviously, we've been evacuated before. It's our second round of evacuation. So in a way, we do know the drill, and although it might sound awful, but it helps,
Yeah.
knowing what to expect. Yes.
Yeah. And in comparison with like the first and the second one, were there any differences? Like, was there any build-up or was it expected?
Yes, exactly. So the first time, I mean, I don't want to tell a long story, but I kind of almost have to. So basically, in September 2024,
Hmm.
I went for 2 weeks to Australia to spend some time with my middle child who's in a boarding school in Australia. And she would come to Lebanon every, let's say, 2 months for her school holidays. But I know she felt like, she was missing out because,
Yeah.
I would obviously be spending more time with her siblings. It's like, oh, Mom, I really miss you. So I thought, okay, right, I go to Canberra and I just spend 2 weeks just with her. And you tell me, and I'm going to do everything you want. So on those 2 weeks, and I remember I was so proud. I had little suitcase with me. I thought, 2 weeks? I'm an experienced traveler. Like, it cannot be that hard. And Emma, those 2 weeks of vacation turned into 3.5 months of evacuation.
Oh my goodness.
So first, my daughter's flights to Lebanon got cancelled. I was so lucky that I was there because normally, let's say, when the boarding school closes or things happen, she would go to Sydney and stay with her grandparents. But they were in Europe traveling at that time. So my daughter would have
Oh my
literally
goodness.
have nowhere to go to. So it was one lucky thing, right? So it's
Hmm.
like, okay, she's no longer, first she was not allowed to go to Lebanon. And then I was not allowed to go to Lebanon. No one was allowed to go back to Lebanon.
Yeah.
And then I had a worry of having two kids in Lebanon when bombs were falling. And my two minor kids had to be evacuated on their own because, as we all know, diplomatic spouse, sorry, diplomatic job, that's what's about. And like, pardon my language, but when the things hit the fan, that's their job. They work day and night,
Hmm.
crazy hours to make sure, because obviously Lebanon has been through so many phases of turmoil. The biggest worry was there always, like, what if the airport gets bombed? You have
Yeah.
to have ships ready. They would call to Cyprus. And all
Wow.
those embassies would scramble and allocate the seats and try to make sure, okay, there are ships or safe hotels in the north of Lebanon and things like that. So he was working crazy hours, and my two kids had to be evacuated on their own.
Oh
And the
my
first
goodness.
evacuation did not go through. So my kids were at the airport. Can you imagine, bombs are falling, and the plane did not arrive. So it had to be picked up by someone in an armored vehicle. I had to drive back home, and I had to go again and stay in Dubai with, luckily, they were created with other Australians. So someone had to really, like, if you're a minor, you cannot even check into a hotel.
No.
So I remember the first vacation for me started as a vacation, and suddenly I was not allowed to go back. Okay, I had my daughter here. There is a little catch when you live in Australia. Like I always joke, I'm living in you guys tomorrow. Like, Emma, your day is starting. My day is almost over. So I would go to bed thinking my kids would be on a flight. And I would wake up to the messages, Dad, pick us up. We're not going. Or things. So
Oh,
that's why I remember it's such a wild roller coaster. Going, not going, this happening, that's not happening. And things would change literally almost on a daily basis. That's how I learned, like, you can plan whatever. It's just, you can only be sure, like with the flights, I knew when my kids are, really up in the air, I would know they're coming.
yeah.
Because then their flight in Dubai was booked out, and like, it kept happening. So whatever, so that's happening. And I remember in the morning, you wake up and looking at my damn phone. Like I had few tears,
I
because you
bet
think,
you
oh yeah, they're
did.
coming. Fuck, they're not coming.
Yeah. I can't even imagine not only how worrying and scary that is for you, but also, I mean, how old were they at the time?
What, 16 and 12? Yeah,
It's just like so young, isn't it, to be going through all of that independently, you know,
exactly.
and
And
having to,
imagine waiting at the
yeah,
airport with other adults. Like my
yeah.
daughter felt like she had to look after my son. They were in a hotel room on their own. They had to order the food.
Oh my
And she had to go, and I
goodness.
remember they wanted to swim, and it was hot in Dubai. I was like, Mom, I bought this sunscreen, but it's so expensive. I said, it's okay.
Oh,
Like,
get the sunscreen.
get, get the sunscreen. I still remember the morning when, like, the messages are like, we're taking off. It's all good. It's like, I had such a flood of tears coming. I was
Yeah,
just so overjoyed. And I still remember I was like, yes, I'm crying, like, oh, I can really breathe out now because I know my kids are safe. And I read the news. That's when Israel started land invasion into Lebanon. Like, well, I still remember it was such a flip because Lebanon is no longer a foreign country. You have kind of my life is there. My daughter, if you go to boarding house, I mean to the boarding house where she is, it says her name and Beirut. That's as a home where she's from.
yeah.
So a lot of people think she's Lebanese. So it's really funny. I mean, not funny. Funny is not the right word, but it's complex. The world becomes very complex, right, Emma? When
Yeah.
nothing is far.
No, it's,
And yeah,
yeah. I was just about to say, and I can't even, I think again, it just shows how incredible as a parent and as a family, how cohesive you have to be and the skills that you've taught your children about flying, getting through airports, hotels, all of those things. If you don't empower them with that independence and those skills from early on and get them involved in the process, even if it is, can you hold your boarding card or can you hold your passport or, how early that must all start. And speaking of the independence and, oh, here's the board, this is what we look for at the gate. All of those tiny things are when you're speaking to very young children, really,
hmm,
how that experience and those life skills really build up and unexpectedly they're then found in a situation where they're having to use those skills independently without you.
exactly. So my kids have been like my daughter. She has been in a situation where they were stuck at Doha Airport. Her first, let's say, her and sister's first maiden flight, and the airspace was closed. They had to learn how to find a desk and ask for food vouchers, and so my
Yeah,
kids ended up, having cookies. I don't know, and for some reason their card did not work. So they've been through something similar. But exactly, I agree with you, Amma. This is like I think our job as a parent to give them skills that they need in life.
mm,
Like exactly, and obviously our kids do. do grow up, right, as experienced traveler, but this is kind of next level where it's your responsibility. It's not a fun trip. Like
No.
really, you have to, um, I don't know, stay cool and composed and be able to function. So this time around, I mean, I'm super grateful for the to the Australian government for the fact that we got flown out last week, and so comparing to the first vacation, where like okay, my experience was maybe unusual to most other people because they got evacuated together and there was a build up, there was tension, there were things happening. But this time it really came very unexpected, I'd say, even to the diplomatic community and a lot of spouses from other missions, and definitely to me, just started with a phone call on Wednesday. We need to talk, and we just got a phone call. You guys would be on the flight back to Australia on Thursday. The kids were at school, so I just had to tell them when they got back. So, hey guys, this is what's happening. It's all good. Let's go back to school. You can go back to school tomorrow. Tell your friends and hug them and say goodbye. Because I remember for me, that really kind of was heartbreaking that I came here on vacation and then I was not sure whether we'd ever go back. And those unsaid goodbyes, not saying goodbye to your friends, to the place, like it's really abrupt. There was no goodbyes. There was no closure for me. And I did not want my kids to go through that. I really wanted them to go and at least, hug their friends.
Yeah.
And they did. And like my daughter got amazing cards from her friends. And she went twice. Like, my kids really, all those hugs and goodbyes. And I think the thing here is it's as opposed to, let's say, when you're posting ads ends, it's also heartbreaking, all those goodbyes and we've been through it. But this time, we just don't know.
Well, you don't know
when and if, and that's kind of, yeah.
Yeah, and also you have that knowing, don't you, that it's happening in a few months' time, or there's maybe a hope that it's at the end of the school year. I know it's not always possible, but there's usually that natural build-up where it's maybe a transition time for a lot of other families too. So to then have that complete shock, I can't even imagine how
Exactly.
how you even comprehend that.
Exactly. I think first it's disbelief, and it's like, what? It's all quiet. Look at this. Like, what now? I cannot believe, and was a shock to me, to so many people. And obviously we were the first. I mean, I think we're the only ones. The Americans were evacuated on Monday, I'm pretty sure. I think non-essential. They don't have families in Lebanon, and the Australian government, I think, acted really swiftly. And we were on the flight to Dubai on Thursday evening.
Yeah.
Boarded at 3 a.m. on Dubai time, and like really, it was just, I'd say, almost 24 hours before the attack and before the airspace closed down.
Yeah. Super, super lucky in terms of
Exactly.
timing and just
Super lucky in terms of timing. And I just know, like, when things like that happen, I know foreign ministries normally they would not take a decision like that if there were no really solid reasons. That was the best one.
yeah.
Because it is disruptive. I mean, the only thing I'd say, so when you get a notice, Emma, like you're leaving the country the next day, right? You have more or less 24 hours to do everything. But also, like, you don't know whether you're coming back. Like, how do you pack?
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah.
How do you pack? What do you pack?
Yeah, and I'm assuming you just have normal luggage allowance. It's not like you can take your
It was
millions of
a normal
things.
economy flight, Emirates, 25 kilogram.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you do. And okay, I mean, we're a bit lucky in terms of we're coming into summer, so we kind of brought more or less, clothes and things else, let's say for a month.
Yeah.
If that's the time frame. But again, no one can tell. And I learned the first time, like you need, in a way, it might sound harsh, but you just really need to hold your horses.
Yeah.
Like you can plan whatever, like, but I'm telling you, things will be in flux and ever changing and shifting. And I think it's disappointing when you kind of just planned and it all goes. It's like, oh, and that's why I think it's way easier to be stable and like stabilize yourself. So, because as a parent, if your kids look up to you, right? If you are stressed and all over the place, I think it's really like basically being able to distinguish, "Oh, this is now important, this is really not important. That's not the end of the world. I don't have my jumper and my, I don't know. Like I forgot my driver's license. That's probably not was not the best idea to forget, you know?
Yeah. I think there's always going to be something like that, though, isn't there? When you're packing in not only in a rush or it's a heightened state of anxiety of all of the other feelings of like, I don't know when I'm going to come back, or I don't know how, I don't know what else I'm going to need. You know, you kind of, I can imagine in that moment, it's like, I want to take my entire wardrobe. You know, it's all the unessential things that you kind of really think about because it gives you that immediate comfort. Where
Yeah.
actually you need to have a lot of the practical things and to work through your life methodically. But if you're on a limited time frame, you can't think in that. Oh, it's not you can't. It's just very difficult to think through all of those different situations, the different possibilities that you could possibly need.
Exactly. And it's obviously you have to coordinate so many things. Like, and okay, family, can we stay with you? School, my kids are no longer attending school. Like from Thursday, they'll be there. But is that, you have to start, like the ball starts rolling.
Yeah,
And also, like for me as a mom, I need to make sure, okay, my kids to school, like, what do they need to bring?
yeah.
Like, what do you really need?
So do you
Um,
have like a mental checklist of like or a starting point where you start in that process?
um, No, but I think because obviously, and the other thing is it's so ridiculous, Emma. By the time I got this phone call, I just got over my jet lag because like 10 days prior,
Yeah.
I got back from Australia.
Yeah.
Right, I was just here down under, and there I was. So I kind of knew, okay, clothes wise, this is what I need, but it's more like for the kids and for ourselves. We decide, my kids like, Mom, how long do I pack for? Like, what do I need? It's like, I pack for a month. Like, we were heading towards autumn at some point. Maybe, obviously going back to Australia, it's not like you need,
Yeah.
a
You don't
lot of
need your
layers.
full
So it's a
winter
bit
clothes.
exactly. But also school, like, okay, what do you need for school? What will
Yeah.
we need if we had to do online schooling and things like that? Just obviously,
Mm,
and then your essentials, the documents and things. Yeah.
yeah. And I guess what only because you've been through this and well, obviously you're assuming that there might be a similar. If you were to go back to Lebanon, how do you get equally a 24-hour, you ready, you can go back, or do you have a little bit longer?
I think you normally have a bit longer. You'd have, yes, I think you would have a bit longer, but again, this is what happened the first time around. As I said, it lasted for me 3.5 months. And as you can imagine, 3.5 months is a long time.
It is a very
So you
long
do
time.
go through this, like, do I have now to start having my plan B? Would
Hmm.
Lebanon be made into non-family posting? It's possible.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
cannot say.
yeah,
You almost have to be, I think, mentally prepared. And I remember vaguely looking at schools in Canberra.
yeah.
Yeah.
And how do the children cope being away from their dad? And you know,
Um,
are they okay? Or like, I can just imagine that obviously they're hearing lots of things as well right now, aren't they?
Yes, and I think and again like with my kids, okay, they're teenagers and there's no way I cannot hide. Like, they can go online, they can check the news. And I think again it's a blessing in disguise, but also it's a curse that we are far away. We're 9 hours ahead. So I would say we were the first ones to find out that Hezbollah got involved. Like
Hmm.
we were the first ones to see to read, okay, Hezbollah fired rockets and Israel is now hitting back. And then I know that my husband and I know like a lot of friends of my kids were waking up at 3 a.m. I mean, for us, it's not 3, obviously, it's not
Yeah.
nighttime. We are awake and we know it's happening before people know.
Hmm.
That's hard, when you know those guys are now waking up because they're bombing.
Mm.
And it was very loud. That's
It's
that's
petrifying. It's
it's
absolutely
petrifying.
petrifying.
And then and obviously because we know Beirut, we live there, we have friends there. So my kids are on daily calls with their friends. I'm obviously in touch with my friends, and I'm part of a few expat chats, and I just know like, and again, like waking up in the morning and having 38 messages in the chat saying, okay, get ready, there'll be heavy bombings, maybe you should sleep with the windows open just in case.
Yeah.
Things like that, and or the friends saying, what's happening. So that's why it's very, like, it's so heartbreaking when, it's their night. I'm awake and I know what's happening, whilst so many people don't yet. They
Yeah.
wake up to this news that Lebanon is now at war as well.
Yeah.
And obviously our dad um, and yes, getting worried, of course. I mean, that's why there are calls, but I also know he's working crazy hours. And at the same time, I know what's happening. I know how close the strikes are to downtown, to where the embassy is. By the way, Australians and Brits are in the same building. So it's nothing is far. It's very densely populated. So it's really not far. Like, I mean, for us, it's how your life is almost kind of living two realities. We have until more or less 5 p.m. our time, Australia time, a very Aussie sunshine,
Yeah.
butterflies, coffee lifestyle, right? And in terms of
Yeah.
we wake up and read the news, and but then when Lebanon wakes up, that's when my kids get, like, that's when you start communicating, ask how was the night, how things are, and how are you, basically.
Yeah. And it's I have a lot of friends who are in Dubai, and I know it's
Mm-hmm.
a very different situation to Lebanon at the moment. Um, but and I work with a lot of families also who are in Dubai, and I, as soon as I started hearing the news on Saturday, you can't help but get so involved in that news, and obviously the
Mm-hmm.
WhatsApp groups and the keeping up to date. And for me, as from a personal point of view, it's you take all of that on, don't you? I mean, I know
Mm-hmm.
I know you have no real understanding about the fear and the anxiety that was going on right there and then, because you can only imagine what they're going through, and
Mm-hmm.
giving them lots of compassion. But I found myself on Saturday, but probably not even Saturday evening, because I don't think I even properly slept on Saturday. Then Sunday, I was so exhausted from consuming all of that information and feeling completely helpless and out of control. And that even when you're not in it, you know, it's really also important to look after yourself as well. So I can't even imagine if you're having an entire full day of normalish life where
Yes.
you're doing that, and then you're, as soon as you get to 5 o'clock, when really technically your body should be starting to slow down, actually get that massive increase in adrenaline and anxiety that's coming through all of the messages as well.
Exactly. And I think, again, because it's easier for me this time around. Um, I mean, again, I don't want to sound pessimistic or harsh, but it may take a while, right? If you
Hmm.
burn yourself out or exhaust yourself, it's not going to help anyone. Like, really, if I get now so depleted and so stressed and so upset about what's happening, like, it's not serving anyone. So what I also learned fairly early on, like I need to minimize my news intake. I check news twice a day maximum.
Mm.
It's not like, I don't want to be in this cycle or reading news. What I also find news is often like I'd rather get the news from people who are there. Like, oh, what's happening? How are you?
Yeah.
And that's why I think, and it just obviously it just tells you so much about how resilient people are, but also, kind of what's happening. So texting a friend here, how are you? And she's wrong. I've been thinking so much of you, of me. Um, she's writing me, must be hard, right? She's in Beirut. Here, all is fine. She's a diplomatic spouse. Sun is shining, drones roaring, and fumes from the occasional detonations. And it's so sad for all the people having to flee again, Ramadan. How are you?
Ah,
It's very different.
yeah, very different.
um, to but I know I've been in townships with mums and things like that, so I know. And again, I can imagine also better. I know how resilient people are, and let's say our Lebanese don't panic normally. And again, sadly, they've been through so much. Like the last war was less than a year ago. I mean, well,
Mm.
no, just over a year ago. So just, I think kind of keeping your head cool and yes, still feeling, sending love and compassion, trying, I don't know, be there for people. Like
Yeah.
my ladies from my Beirut group said, let's have a Zoom coffee. I
Yeah.
think because we're going through it together now, and some are being evacuated, some are still staying. So I think it's good to connect. And so you want that. And I think it's good. I would not call it venting. It's just, sharing your stories. And I think it's like, I feel for me, it's even like, it's good to talk about it. And obviously, you don't need to talk about it all the time. And I think not at times like, fear mongering and adding
Mm.
extra layer upon layer and upon layer, but just sharing it and getting it off your chest. I think
It
it's
was,
good.
well, it's
It's
very
important.
important. Yeah, it's so important. So if you said that that was kind of like your top tip to get through this stage where everything is very, very uncertain, just to share and have communication, do you have any other guidance or advice for uh,
Exactly. I think, like, in a way, again, I'm very sorry, but you need to see it a bit as a marathon. It's not a sprint. So, really, I think it's about conservation of your energy, but also being human. I think, like, my recent post on Instagram was like, you are human. Like, I cried when I was told, like, I'm leaving. I was
mm,
leaving the next day. I think it's good, it's important to let it out. And, like, I am a human being. Like, it sucks. And I think it's okay to feel all of that. And maybe if you need, just give yourself, like, I had a day, or
yeah.
maybe less, right? I had to be, then start doing things.
Hmm.
And obviously, keeping busy, if possible, feel the emotions. If it helps, talk to people, but not the ones who kind of make you extra scared,
Hmm.
and so on. I would minimize the news intake and really see how you can stabilize yourself, like what normally anchors you.
Hmm.
Do that. And again, like it's like a wave, like if I now my kids want to go to Bondi on tomorrow, there's no way you're going to control Bondi waves. You
Yeah.
cannot. You'd better ride it, like, you cannot resist. It's just bash you, smash you all over you. You just hold yourself like this if you can.
Hmm.
Or just do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And be really kind to yourself. And remember, if you're especially a parent, your kids sense how you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that that is a really important thing to to end on, because when you are so, obviously you're so important for your entire family, um keeping yourself emotionally regulated in the best way you possibly can, whether that is having the venting to your friends and to husbands or wives, and doing that so that you can show up for your children in a as much as a stable way as you possibly can, is it makes a massive impact on on how your children experience the entire thing. I working with lots of families at the moment, and I've had, working with a lot of teenage girls. I've having some children, like teens, saying, you know, oh no, it's been really scary, and I'm struggling to concentrate. And obviously in Dubai they had distance learning this week, um, and I've had the opposite side of where they were like, oh, everything's okay. Yeah, everything's been quiet since Saturday. And I'm like, I know which areas of Dubai you live in. I think you're pretty close to each other, you
Of
know?
possible,
Like, how are
yes.
you saying, like, oh, yeah, we haven't really had anything since Saturday? And then the other side where it's like, no, possible, we can't do anything right now. We're having to cancel everything. And there's
No.
a huge difference in how those girls are perceiving what's happening right now. Um, and there is no right and wrong, is there? Like, it's obviously a very scary situation for everybody who is in the Middle East right now, and lots of uncertainty. But it is really about just focusing on what you can control, doing things that you can do. Do get yourself packed. I was speaking to friends and saying, you should have your grab bag, have like your passports and any key sentimental or anything that you need, get some water ready, all of those things where if you, I don't know, if you were unfortunate and your building was on fire or, that you could just literally go and that you've got something. Um, that is something that you can control. You can't control if your building catches on fire. You can't
No.
control if there is a drone in the sky, if there is a missile. We can't control any of that. So just really taking the time to focus on what you can control, and just knowing that that's the best that you can do in that very given moment.
Exactly, but I also would say, like, even let's say if you don't show up in a most classy way, or I don't know, like overreact, like you don't beat yourself up,
Yeah.
because again, we are humans, and I'm telling you, because I know what I've been through it before. It just, I can put things way better into perspective. But yeah, so kind of really be nice and gentle and kind to yourself. Do the best, like, again, I'm sure you'll do like everyone would just do the best they can, because we always do the best we
Yeah.
can under the circumstances and giving the knowledge and whatever we have in us at that given moment. So, and again, I think it's good to be in that dark place and just really kind of feel the uncertainty. But as we know, like, I would say just don't live there forever, in the loop of anxiety. And yeah, and I think Emma, you said it wonderfully, focus on what you can control. And I think
Yeah.
you had a little great tip on Instagram. Do you want to share with
Yeah.
everyone? What was
Well, I will. I'll head people my way. I think I put on Monday, I think, some anxiety relieving tools, and there's just two things that I kind of talked about. One is the 24-hour circle of control. So you just draw two circles, and the inner circle you can write everything that you can control. So, have I got my phone charged? Do I have battery packs? Do I have that grab bag? And the outer circle is just anything that is not yours to control. So if you can't control whether the flight is going to go tomorrow, and you had planned on that, then you can't control it. You can only put yourself out there and say, I want to be on that flight, you know.
mm,
Um, so it is really about just taking charge of that, and just really, really looking after yourself. And it's not doing these tools and techniques is not about just living in, woo woo land, everything's okay, and if I just breathe, everything's gonna just magically be okay. Of course it's not, you know.
mm,
But these tools, or these grounding tools, and like you said before, Anna, do the things that really anchor you, whether that's doing a bit of yoga, breath work, focusing, reading, doing
walking,
something.
being outside, right? Whatever.
Yeah,
Like, sitting with your favorite cup of coffee, whatever. Like, we're all
whatever.
different,
Yeah.
right? Whatever it is for you.
It's not gonna, yeah, it's not gonna magically fix anything, but what it is gonna allow you is just your brain to have some space away from the constant loop of what's next, what's going to happen, what do I need to do?
Yeah.
And just giving yourself 10, 15 minutes, it will make a big difference in how you approach the next step in your day. And it is
Yes,
very important.
it is. I agree with you because it really will determine how you approach the situation. You know, how do you show up for yourself, for your kids? And again, I think it's like you have to get it right the first time, not even the 10th. You know,
Hmm.
it's like you do the best you can, and that's it. There is one thing I'd like to share before we wrap up.
Yeah,
This is really like it. Again, it's not woo woo gaga. It really helps me personally. You know, Albert Einstein apparently said one of the most important questions people need to answer for themselves is, do I live in a friendly or hostile universe? Because if I think like for me, it is a friendly place. You know, life is friendly, universe is friendly, which means I do believe things are happening for me and they will work out. Like for
yeah,
me, that's a huge help. I really find
huge.
that anchors me and helps me relax because again, so many things are, if I know I can control that much and all of that I cannot, but I know that's a friendly place. It's all
Yeah,
happening for me, for my highest good, for the highest good of everyone involved. I can trust, I can relax and let go way easier than when I think, oh my God, I'm trying to control something I can no control
yeah.
of, right? Over. Yeah, that's it.
That's really nice. And it is really important to have that. And I'm sure lots of people are also seeing the when when communities are going through really hard times, how other people are showing up for them as well. And the
Mm,
support and the kindness that sits behind so
exactly.
many terrible, terrible things. People really do make a difference in that as well, don't they? But
They do.
thank you so much for sharing your experience, Anna.
Thank you, Emma. It
I'm
was
sorry that you're having
absolute
to go through
pleasure.
it. I'm sorry everyone is going through it.
Exactly. But I kind of have really learned to, oh, that's one extra thing, gratitude and counting your blessings. Look, I'm really grateful. It is disruptive. I mean, it's hugely inconvenient at the moment. It's super uncertain, but I'm safe. My kids are with me, and I think
Yeah,
that's huge. Mhm.
yeah, it is huge. And, if anybody would like to have a chat, I'm more than welcome for anyone to drop into my DMs or send me a message or any route if anyone wants to just to have a talk and to have someone listen to. They just want their vent. Um, and I'm
Yes,
sure that you would also feel the same, Anna.
of course, yes. Please, I mean, if you're going through something similar or not, I mean, if really you want to share, because I think, again, when you leave it on the inside, you have a very different perspective on that, and really understand what people are going through. So I'm very happy to connect and create space, for people to be heard and to be held as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Anna. And then you can find
Thank you,
Anna's
Emma.
details and all of my details in the show notes. You can find how to contact us, how to email, find all of our information. It's
Exactly.
all there. But yes, please keep
Yes.
doing what you're doing. And if you think that this would help anybody else, please do share this
Yes.
episode. And we will be back in a couple of weeks with the second in our career series. So hopefully
Fingers
we'll
crossed,
be in
as
a
they say,
we'll,
inshallah.
yeah, we'll be
Let's
in a different zone then, and things hopefully we've seen a big
hopefully,
improvement.
yes, exactly, exactly.
Yes,
Thank you so much, Emma, and thank you everyone for listening to us and supporting us, and yes, being there, being part of our community.
yes, we do appreciate you very much. Thank you so much, Anna. Have a really
Thank you,
wonderful
Emma.
evening in Sydney.
Yes, almost that time.
Yeah.
Bye, Emma.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.